Turn your magic on. For me, she'd say, everything you once said, dream away. And we are legends every day. That's what she told me. Turn your magic on. To me, she'd say, everything you once said, dream away. Under this pressure, under this weight, we are diamonds. Now I feel my heart beating. I feel my heart underneath my skin, and I feel my heart beating. Oh, you make me feel like I'm alive again. I'm a dream that died by light of day. I got a hold up of the sky and say, only I own me. Now I feel my heart beating. Now I feel my heart underneath my skin, and I feel my heart beating. Oh, you make me feel like I'm alive again. Oh, alive again.
Hello and schönen Morgen. Welcome back to the brief. Sorry, to the stream. And let me explain to you where we are. We're still in the crew rest area. It's been, well, we knocked out about 3 hours into the flight. We've got about 6 hours of sleep, and now we're coming back in shortly before the arrival. Hey, Boomy Girl, what's going on? And just got ourselves a cup of tea. We're gonna get ourselves set up and head back into the flight deck. We are just about to reach, or we're still kind of over the North Sea, and we are just about to make a landfall. You can see out there, out the left window, the port window. You can see the stunning landscape of northern Norway, and we'll just head down into the flight deck in a couple seconds. Alright folks, back in the flight deck. Broken, shattered coast here of Norway, and we're just going to do a quick recap on the flight so far. We've been airborne now for about 8 hours and 30 minutes, close to 30 minutes. It's been 8 hours and 50 since we left our gate in Seattle. We started the flight at level 340, which I found actually a little bit strange. And it was only about 2 hours into the flight I realized that I found it strange because we're flying eastbound on the westbound level, which was interesting to say the least. Obviously we sorted that out, and yeah, I've been wearing the same top since last night because it's a uniform, you know. We don't have a new uniform to change into. So yeah, we're just gonna come back. We'll take over from our colleagues here. We'll enjoy a cup of tea. We'll get some music going, and we'll set up for the arrival into Frankfurt, which is still a little bit of a way down. But we can talk about some of the stuff that we can expect on the arrival. So let's get some live music going in the background. What do you say? If you got any song requests, now's the right time to make it. Oh yeah, it sounds like it'll be nice for this time of the morning. Very nice. We'll go through a systems check here.
Dark nights, cold ones, alone by myself. The tears I shed was laying in my bed. I wish I had the strength to get out of my head. The pain you've caused, scars that enclose me. I need a path, I want to set me free. I got something to help me put my mind at ease. Feeling like I'm about to lose my mind. Feeling like I'm about to lose my mind. Feeling like I'm about to lose my mind.
Taking a look here about the fuel flow in general. So we're seeing each engine's used roughly 13 tons. So that's 26 plus another 13. That's 39 plus another 13 is 40. 52, sorry. We're just gonna go ahead and see how that compares with our OFB. Just take a look to see if it's within limits and if we haven't lost fuel overnight. We clearly haven't, because we still got a healthy margin with which we're landing into Frankfurt. So even if we're leaking a little bit, it's still okay as long as we can catch on to it. So we say we use 13 times 4. I worked that out to be 52, but let's just confirm. We're not in the 90s anymore. We're calculating everywhere. So yeah, about 52 tons of fuel used. We departed with 75.1. Nice, this is banging. 23.1 tons is what we need to have on board. That's pretty close. I haven't calculated the 90 and 48 and stuff. So pretty happy with that number there. So fuel is looking alright. Maybe we can delve a little bit into the systems here with the air systems. So what's going on here is you can see the high pressure stage. Maybe it's a good idea to kind of draw a general schematic on how the air conditioning works. Maybe I can pull something up for us, and it'll be pretty. Well, actually, the only person watching the stream right now is proficient Airbus captain anyway, so she'll be able to. She'll know a lot about the stream stuff. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube and you're finding this later, we'll speak a little bit about how we get air conditioning and pressurization onto the aircraft. It's going to be a very quick run through. I don't know much specifics about the A340, so it's just going to be a general airliner sort of conversation. So obviously we want to keep pressure in the airplane. That's how you end up breathing. You can see how much pressure there is at the aircraft at the moment. You see there, so there's enough pressure in the aircraft for you to feel like you're at 7,200 feet, even though you're at 39,000 feet. This is what makes the air breathable, because not so much about the amount of oxygen you have. The oxygen is still going to be about 20%, but 20% of oxygen at level 390 is not a lot of oxygen. There's not a lot of oxygen up here, whereas at 7,000 feet there's enough for you to breathe normally. And you'll hear us talk a lot about if there's a depressurization, we can go 10,000 feet because that's generally the is generally what we've decided is for an unacclimatized human being to be able to survive or breathe in a way that is not detrimental to their health. 10,000 feet seems to be um, the go-to number. Yeah. So that's where aviation center around. So anything goes wrong, we'll go down to 10,000 feet. So good. So how do we keep 7230 the whole time? You got to think of the airplane a little bit like a balloon. So there's always air being fed into it, and it's being kept inflated at all times. Of course, it's a metal structure, and there's like holes and dents everywhere, a bit like a leaky ship. Maybe not so much, but that's the idea. In fact, we've got some holes pre-built into the aircraft so that we don't overexpand said balloon. Um, the air comes from the engines actually, so that's what the bleed air was describing. So engine one, two, three, and four are all, you see those little ones that say IP. This is the high pressure, and I want to say intermediate pressure maybe. So when you have intermediate pressure from engine number one, two, three, and four, that's what's being fed into the cabin, as you can see. The high pressure only kicks in for whatever reason if you have some additional load, for example, on your bleed air system. So if you're not using the bleed air only for air conditioning, if you're using it for wing anti-ice, for example, then it might be enough load for the aircraft to decide, hey, I need some high pressure, I need some help from the engines, a little bit more air. So that's how that works. You can see here, she's pulling out air at 38 psi. That's how much I run the tires in my car at, and 185 degrees Celsius coming from the intermediate stage compressor. Goes straight up, and it's being brought down to 145, and then even further down to 13 degrees Celsius, and that's being fed into the cabin, which we can see here with the conditioning. We've commanded these cargo holes to 23, 21, and roughly about the 20s. And what happens is it goes into the packs, and then it's being introduced into the cabin. But you have something called trim air, which is essentially these hot air modules, I guess, and they essentially warm or cool the air. Like if they turn off, colder air goes in. Remember, it was 13 degrees coming out the bleeds. And if they're on, it warms up the cold air a little bit again, so you you satisfy the temperature range across. You see here, it's 21 in the cabin, 23, 21, but the actual air being fed is at 26 degrees. So it's relatively cold outside. So to keep it 21, you need a little bit of a warmer air. So that's kind of what's going on here. We talk a little bit more about the pressurization system. That's showing your cabin altitude. That's showing how much you're climbing and descending. You see, stops at 2,000. Whereas you know from previous experience that you might have been flying, airplane can easily go up 6,000 feet per minute. And that's the cabin pressurization's job, essentially, to make sure you are comfortable, your ears don't pop descending at 6,000. This is differential pressure in PSI, it's pound per square inch. So each square inch of the airplane's skin is taking up to 8.3 pounds of pressure. So the higher the number, and at some point it's going to be amber and red, which is obviously risky. But the higher the number, it means that the aircraft is essentially keeping the cabin as pressurized as possible without exceeding the tolerances of the skin. So that's what the aircraft targets. It tries to give you the least cabin altitude possible with the highest PSI. And what happens is if this reduces down to 6,000 for the exact same flight conditions, you'll see that the PSI goes up. And that's essentially the difference of the pressure between what's inside and outside. So at 39,000 feet, we're maintaining 7 inside the cabin. So the pressure differential is, according to it, 8.3 psi. However, if we increase the pressure, that's the difference between what's outside at 39,000 feet and what's inside the cabin at 72,000 feet, that psi would rise or drop. So what would you see if you have a depressurization event? You see the psi go to absolutely naught because the pressure inside and outside the aircraft is different. This takes into account a full depressurization event. Obviously, they can happen a little slower. So this is where you would troubleshoot. So for example, if you had, I don't know, somebody crazy shot a bullet hole in the airplane, I don't think it's necessary for the aircraft to completely depressurize. The pressurization system can probably keep up with the bullet hole. I don't know. Um, but you'd see it work harder. So your cabin altitude would increase a bit, the PSI would drop, and your cabin would climb until it stabilizes at the new as its new normal. You'll see the bleed will try to compensate. It'll try to push more air into the cabin to keep it pressurized. But let's say you're losing your cabin altitude. What you're going to see is you're going to see the cabin altitude from 7,000 feet start climbing up to 10. You see it's red at 10 because that's where you get the alert for cabin altitude. You'd see the PSI dropping because the difference between the altitude you're flying at and the cabin altitude is different, and you would see your cabin altitude climbing. So that's how you know you're depressurizing. If you had an explosive depressurizing where your cabin altitude to 7,000 now matches 39,000, it's a very violent event. Obviously, you've gone from now 7,000 feet to 39,000 feet in no time at all. Vertical speed will be 0 because it's not actually climbing and descending. It happens so quickly. You might catch it, boom, as the event occurs, but I don't think you would. And then it would be flat. And this vertical speed would start matching what your aircraft is doing because you no longer have pressurization control. Your differential pressure will become 0 because the inside of the cabin and the pressure outside will be equalized with the pressurization failure. You can see here that's packs 1 and 2 adding the air, and these are your relief valves. So essentially this is where the air escapes from. You can think of this box as your aircraft. That's your safety valve. It's closed. This opens up in case the aircraft is overpressured. It just goes, that's it, lets it out. And basically what keeps the pressure in the airplane constant is the pack gives you a lot of air, and the aircraft just opens and closes the outflow valves as necessary to maintain cabin. You can see here it's in a slight climb at all times, and you can see the slightly open here to let the air bleed out of the aircraft a little bit. Good. That's pressurization talked about. I can't tell you about electrics, but this is what's going on. Everything seems to be okay. The electricals, the DC system, nothing orange either. We've got everything all right on the hydraulics as well. AP is not in use. Conditioning we talked about, seems all right. Oopsie, missed the door there. All armed. Wheels are okay. Flight controls are fine, and this is something we should have talked about, and we did talk about it the last stream, which is going to be the primary threat of today's talk, because we're having a little bit of a cold spell in the northern hemisphere, and that went all the way up to the higher atmosphere. So I believe the lowest we had seen was actually minus 70 something. Well, it's all right because the aircraft skin stayed at about minus 36, 37. Still only about 6-ish degrees away from fuel freezing, but because we're taking up warm fuel in Seattle, it didn't drop below freezing. So it's extended times at high elevation, at high latitudes, that could potentially cause a cold fuel event. I don't know the limits for the A340, but our thing around the minus 40 mark is accurate for most commercial airliners these days. We didn't quite get close to it. I believe the coldest I've seen this in today's flight was minus 33, and that was because of the ram rise we were having. If you look here, the outside air temperature is minus 54. The TAT is a total air temperature, and it's because you're flying so quickly through the air, it's like a friction burn almost, and that's actually raising the aircraft's temperature up, or the actual feeling of the temperature up by 30 degrees. And that's what your wing is going to feel as well, because it's going to be rubbing against the hot air, which is why your temperature now is minus 29. It's a little bit colder than the minus 24, but that's because we're coming down from high latitudes, and you can see it's warming up, minus 28. And we'll see how that goes as we go down to Frankfurt. Still pretty chilly. Where were we next? That's it. So the aircraft seems to be okay. Fuel's been checked, pressurization, everyone's happy. Sun is almost up, and we've just crossed Bergen. Starting soon into Frankfurt. So let's get started on setting up for our arrival into the Rhein-Main airport here at Frankfurt. So the way I prepare for most arrivals, I use Navigraph most of the time. I'm glad, Boomy Girl. I hope you approve of my my small system knowledge, I guess. And I hope it was good for ATPL theory for all our colleagues doing the ATPL out there. Let me bring you onto my iPad. Here we are. So we are just, sorry, southern Norway, and we'll cross soon the Solavioar. We pass through Bergen. What's next is flying through Danish airspace to Greffi, which is the entry into the Netherlands. And then from there we'll track down from Netherlands into Germany for arrival into Frankfurt. The way I work on the arrivals is we take a look at the weather at Frankfurt. At the moment, there's no VATSIM ATIS or any real-world ATIS available for Europe, so we know nobody's online on VATSIM to control, but we'll take a look at the latest METAR. Okay, so I have features on the 26th of this month at 7:20 Zulu, which is about 10 minutes ago. It's an Automet report. Wind is at 2303, so it's a light breeze from the west. Temp and it's between 210 and 270, so there's a little variance in the wind in terms of direction, but not so much, or nothing reported in terms of intensity of the wind. Visibility is at 3,800 meters in mist. There's few clouds at 400 feet and it's broken at 1,100. Ceiling for the flight then will be 1,100. Overcast at 17, -1, -1, 997, and no sig. So I could tell you a little bit about the Met reports the way you see it here. When I said broken at 11, I didn't use few because there's a variance in the clouds. Those clouds can go back and forth. You know, maybe they blow off between arrivals. Broken, however, and overcast, they are more steady layers. You know, so they're going to be there more likely. So it's more difficult to find the gaps. Whereas with few, it's more difficult to find the clouds. Let's put it that way. It's like there's more holes. With broken, there's not so many holes, which is why we call it ceiling. Overcast, absolutely no holes. So it's not controlling, but this is something we can take a look at. Few clouds at 400 feet doesn't really concern me because that's well above Cat 1 minimum. But if it was below Cat 1 minima as well, it's not such a big deal because we're looking at initially broken. We shoot an approach with Cat 1 minima anyway, and if it doesn't work out, we'll come back and we'll see if we can't change the outcome a little bit. -1, -1, so we have to do some cold weather altitude corrections, which is actually a little bit of a pain just with -1. I can tell you now that the sun is probably rising in Frankfurt, and the coldest time of the day is an hour after sunrise because the ground is still quite cold and it's like a little bit of radiation, so it makes everything else feel a bit colder. About an hour after sunrise, usually the coldest, and then as time progresses, it starts to get warmer. So we're hoping this goes up to 0 degrees, in which case I can skip doing the cold weather correction. But getting closer to 0 means that and -1 is not really a big deal, but when you get closer to 0 degree isotherm, let's say, it's where you have more effects of cold weather operation because the ice and the snow are still a little bit watery. So we're still probably going to use a little bit of anti-ice on the arrival. Not necessarily on the arrival, but on the ground in Frankfurt, especially because we have information that's been snowing all of last night. And I hope that the sim will depict that appropriately because then we can turn on the anti-ice for the arrival. 997, here's another neat trick. Anytime you kind of need to know the region you're flying around. I can tell you in and around Europe, it's about 101 something is generally the QNH. So anytime it goes lower, like when I notice in Europe it goes close to thousands and below, the weather tends to be bad. Like it's just a random bad. However, if it goes higher than the 1020s, it tends to be clear, fair weather skies. So it's just like a quick, you can just eyeball it. 997, low QNH, not great. High QNH, great day, excellent flying. So you can, just like a little tip, let's say, or a trick. Let me just get rid of these airports because we're not going to Seattle anymore. Very nice. What will we need? So we're going to decide what runway we're going to use at Frankfurt. Usually I use an aerodrome facility chart if I have it on Lido, but we're going to just use the ground charts to determine which way we're going. Frankfurt likes to use 25 right for arrivals. It's built a little bit out there, and I think it's specifically designated as an arrival only runway. However, I do not know if heavies necessarily land on this runway, so we're going to go take a look at the AOI. So it's either going to be 25 right or 25 left for the arrival. Let's go into arrival briefing and see if we can't find something here. There's noise abatement. Yeah. Okay. So let's say 25 right, heavy except super. So yeah, I guess the heavies can't land on 25 right. And I think I would like to, because it will be a little bit exciting, a shorter runway. So we'll plan for runway 25 right Frankfurt for the landing. And we'll use an ILS Zulu approach. Why not an ILS Yankee? What's the difference? Okay, Delta Foxtrot 482, 480, 430. Okay, so here's the difference. Check out the ILS Zulu approach into Frankfurt. 3-degree glide slope. ILS Yankee 25 right. 3.2-degree glide slope. Quite interesting. Localizer frequency 109.75. ILS Zulu 11135. So it seems that they've got two ILSs co-located, and you tune the right one depending on which glide path you want. This is fantastic, actually. Someone like me now flying a heavy would use the Zulu, whereas medium aircraft might use the Yankee, so that they can stay above the wake turbulence of the arrival. Alternatively, they may be using Yankee rectangles for noise abatement procedures at night. But since we're landing during the daytime, noise is not so much of a factor. So we'll go ahead and set the ILS Zulu approach. I've not actually seen that before. It's quite an interesting system. Must be expensive because ILS systems need to be certified. Just before we get back to this, let's go very quickly and get the aircraft to daylight mode. Annunciations to bright. Let's brighten you guys up. Come on. It's a beautiful day in Frankfurt. I wonder if the mid-level position here on an Airbus signifies an automatic setting, because in a 737, if you put in the middle position, they have some sunlight sensors around here, which then automatically set up the intensity of the for you. And only the displays that are affected. So if the sun only shows up on the PFT, it'll increase only the PFT and leave the ND kind of dark. It's quite a neat system there. Let's go back to the iPad, folks. Just give me 1 second here. Gonna go take a look at my phone. I think I'm getting some messages here. It's one of the benefits of having in-flight Wi-Fi. All right, I'm back. Thank you. Tiny circles are light sensors. Let me get that right. These tiny circles on both sides, is that it? Are these the photo sensors? I thought they were screws. Okay, that makes sense. So you got two for each instrument. We have the one that's sort of here, and it's more like a white dot. All right, that's interesting. Thanks for the info, Boomy Girl. We'll proceed back onto the very interesting. Yeah, let's go back to the arrival planning. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there with something technical. Good. So we'll do the Isla Zulu approach. So I'm kind of working my arrival backwards. Yeah, you see, we've determined what the weather is like, what runway we're landing on, and then we're going to see what approach we're going to do. And just based on the direction I'm coming in from, we're sort of coming in from the north eastern direction, something, sorry, northwestern direction, something like this. So as far as I can see, it's probably going to be via MEFTO, and then we're going to do all of this. What arrival does that put us into? There's a big choice of arrivals. What we're going to do is we're going to find out what SimBrief wanted us to do. And we'll see. It wanted us to do the Dixat 1 Delta, but that's for the 07 left. That gives us at least the designator of the star, somewhere from Dixat. Let's see what the 1 Alpha and 1 Bravo look like. I like the look of this. 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo. And this is 1, yeah, this seems to be what you'd end up using in real life. You know, you have prescribed distance and distances and descents. You see, they're all quite standard, about 12 miles, 11.9, 11.9. I don't know why that isn't 11.9, 6.8, 10, close to 11.9, 13. Generally around the 10 to 12 mile thing. And you got Dixat 1 and 1 Bravo 100 at 120, and you'll end up either northern or southern downwind. I believe we're landing 25 left, they would send us down to the southern downwind, and 25 right gets a northern downwind. And obviously you probably won't end up doing the whole thing unless there's a lot of traffic. We'll get a turn in somewhere here for the ILS approach. I think this is a reasonable arrival to expect. So if you agree, let me know. If not, also let me know. After landing, we got that. The approach to the airport chart that we've looked at. We need to find specifically a chart for that part of the airport. You see, it's not covered here. Let's see. Parking stand south, VDGS, INS. I could have sworn I'd seen it earlier. Alright, in the meantime, let's just get our parking stands east, because we're going to be parking at this Terminal 1 here, so probably in this Alpha area, and that's going to be covered by parking stands east, as you see. And where is it? Taxi chart, parking stands, airport info, airport. Interesting. I can't seem to find taxi charts for that part of the airfield. Restrictions, parking stands. Very interesting. So here's the full airport, and I see there's no extra chart for only that part. So we're just gonna have to zoom in on this and call it as we see it. Alright, so we're almost entering Danish airspace, which seems to be controlled. 136.55. CPDLC and EKDK. So let's pre-select that, 136.550. And let's start listening in already. And we can go ahead and see if we want to connect on CPDLC. Connection, notification, EKDK is the pardon me, EKDK. Yep. Here's the CPDLC logon code, so let's go ahead, send that up there and notify. We're not yet crossing the border of the FIR. It's going to be somewhere due west of the Aalborg VOR. So let's go ahead and set Aalborg so we know what we're crossing. Alpha Alpha Lima is the Aalborg VOR. So when we're roughly a beam Aalborg, this is pointing to Aalborg. That's when we know we are entering the Danish FIR. We've set the CPDLC log on a little bit early. They can accept as they like, and we're already monitoring the frequency because there's nothing on advisory anyway. Back to discussing the routing. So a few things we need to look at here from the arrivals at the airport. We can go to the airport briefing chart and see what the arrivals have to say. Technically, we'd have to go. Oh, a message. ATC message. Let me clear that. Current ATC unit Copenhagen control. Let's close it. Squawk 1563. 1563. Let's Wilco it first. Send 1563. Squawk 1563 set. And we'll check in already. Copenhagen Control, good morning, Lufthansa 4901 Heavy. We're 140 miles west of the Aalborg VOR, proceeding direct to Krefeld, level 390. Now 136555. Sorry about that.
Clear for takeoff, Austrian 986.
Copenhagen Control, good morning, Lufthansa 4901 Heavy. Flight level 390, we are 140 miles west of the Aalborg VOR. CPDLC established.
Lufthansa 491 Heavy, good morning, Copenhagen Control. Identified, flight level 390, continue.
Lufthansa 491 Heavy. Alright. It's not very accurate Lufthansa operations. If you ever hear Lufthansa on the radio or the frequency, always funny because they go out initially by saying their call sign first and then the rest. You'll notice. So let's say someone will say Lufthansa contact Ankara Center, blah blah blah, and Lufthansa will go Lufthansa 491 contact Ankara Center, goodbye. Always a call sign first, which is quite interesting. It's something I've started noticing about Lufthansa's. For me it's funny, but I guess this is just normal radio telephony, that part of the world. Maybe their car ops is slightly different. Where was I now? Yeah, we were taking a look at the arrival section. NADP, runway 25, yeah, we know. As long as the tailwind doesn't exceed 5 knots, and in our case it's going to be a headwind.
Austrian 986 airport.
And if
Austrian 986, identified, passing down 100 feet, climb flight level 190. Climb 190, Austrian 986.
obviously this now depends on things like if you have slush, ice, snow, frost, so all those most safety pertaining things will take precedence over noise abatement. Preferred takeoff directions, preferred landing takeoff directions, tailwind components, okay. Night flying restrictions, not flying at night. We're just gonna skim through this very quickly. There's a lot of night flying, okay, don't care. Reverse thrust. Reverse thrust may only be used in the idle reverse thrust mode. Exceptions are unavoidable in cases
Nordic
of safety.
Nana 32, long rollout is approved. Wind 030, 17 knots, 0 for left, clear to land.
One roll approved, so land 0 for left, Nordic Nana 32.
Because the comparatively shorter LD are 25 right, so we can
Nordic
go.
Nana 32, disregard.
So we can go a little bit, we can use more than idle
Roger.
reverse, fantastic. Surface movement, okay, use more desk on the ground, it's pretty standard these days. ATC guidance by means of, just essentially follow the greens, just self-explanatory, just follow the green lines to your gate.
Runway 17 November Golf, taxi holding point Bravo 3, runway 04 right via Whiskey, Sierra, Victor, Bravo,
Reduce runway
cross runway
surface
12.
separation timings, okay, that's great. General procedures for taxi.
Taxi to hold on runway 04 right, Bravo 3 via Whiskey Sierra, Bravo, crossing runway 12. By now, 17 November Golf.
17 November Golf, Whiskey, Sierra, Victor, then Bravo.
Whiskey Sierra, Victor, Bravo, crossing from 12 runway 17 November Golf.
Correct.
Nodded 923, so it's confirmed the cleared land and therefore left.
Break 932A firm, wind 03017 knot 0 for left, clear to land.
The land therefore left, nodded 923.
Austrian 986, direct Salo.
Okay, I'm going to turn this down a little bit, the air traffic control.
Direct Salo to Austrian 986.
And I'm going to make myself a little bit louder, so I'm the key guy here today. So just looking through some of the taxiway restrictions, apparently the side strips on the markings are reduced in Frankfurt compared to the EASA standard. So they require us to taxi with crater
Are you
accuracy,
receiving climb via the data link?
which I tend to do anyway. Okay, some width, that's alright.
Yeah, I got it now, sorry.
So in general, they're saying the airport is tight. Use APU, alright, which we shall do. Only for 5 minutes. So again, noise abatement. Get to stand, ground power, turn it off. Arrivals. Let's take a look at some arrival information into Frankfurt and ADP. Frankfurt will be applying night procedures. Okay, that's fine. Not for now. All aircraft will expect RMP X-ray approaches at night. Seems to be night stuff. Special certification required for Cat 2 and 3 operations, high intensity runway operation, except for category super, but they also require to vacate the runway as quickly as possible. We'll do it anyway. Well, not super, but we'll do it. Alpha and Delta stars, we talked about this. Okay.
Nodded 923, vacate the reliance path and stand Alpha 4, Citrix.
Red Nose 932, that's approved. Taxi Alpha 4 via Alpha Yankee Lima, cross runway 12.
Alpha 4, Alpha Yankee Lima, cross runway 12, nodded 932.
So it tends to be
Austrian 986, climb at
that the ILS is going.
advisory,
Sorry.
122.8, good day.
It seems to be that we're going to expect to do the ILS with a 3.2 degree angle instead of the 3 degrees, and the PAPI will be correct down to a height of 200 feet for both the 3 degrees and 3.2, so maybe they've got it at 3.1. Regular operations will be conducted on the Cat 1 only, and the approach procedure will only be assigned if there's no lasting tailwind component. If tailwind prevails or is to be expected, the provisions will be applied, blah blah blah, and ILS approach procedure for 3 degrees will be assigned. If it's not possible to conduct a 3.2 degree for safety reasons, the pilot should mention this in the initial call to Langen. So we'll plan for 3.2 degrees, and so it must be the noise. That's all I can say. We're gonna land 25 right. For heavy jets, we're planning to exit at Papa 20, which gives us 2.3 kilometers, so 2,250 meters. And anything else to continue with? Maintain smooth taxiing traffic. Okay, don't worry. Flight planning and descent. Couple of waypoints here. The actual will be done. DCL, okay. All right, guys. So that's a shakedown for the arrival. Let's go ahead and load that route in to the flight management. We're almost at Graphie, which is the Netherlands. Frankfurt. Arrival for the ILS Yankee 25 right, because we want the 3.2 glide path. Let me go ahead and change that up here as well on my Navigraph. ILS Yankee 25 right, and the question is, which arrival? The Dixat.
Advisory 122.8, good day.
Monitor advisory
1 Alpha, which is a northern downwind. And then it's going to be via, let's put it via Delta Foxtrot 426, which gives us essentially a long downwind. Let's see if this makes sense in our plan mode here. Let's go airport, and we'll work our way backwards. So we'll start off at Dixat, as we had previously alluded to. They will proceed Lipmead, okay, good, all the way down. And you can see here we've got the northern downwind plan. At some point will turn on to final, but the full arrival procedure is in fact ready. MEFTA will be the missed approach point, that's up there as well. We can insert this flight plan.
17 November Golf, wind 030, 17 knots.
She'll give us an updated arrival time, 909 Zulu. So just over an hour until we touch down into Frankfurt. We can also go ahead and load some of the known weather conditions in Frankfurt. So it's currently, we're still using the weather from a while ago, so it's 230 at 3. We'll update that as we get close to the arrival. -1 degree. 997 is the QNH. And we need to change that from Mercury to hectopascals. Transition altitude, well, it should be transition level, which will be by ATC. Transition altitude 5,000, so yeah, I don't see why transition level won't be 60, so let's go ahead and set that up. Barrow minimums, it'll be 561, we're going to round it up to 570. Good. I'm going to be using a little bit of VR on the arrival. I think it'll be alright for my performance. So all those charts that I've been talking about, we're going to go ahead and set it up also for up here in the aircraft DFB, but this uses Lido. It's not that much of a big change. All of the procedures will be as discussed. Excuse me, still rocking that cough. Dixat for 07 center. Dixat for the 25s.
Copenhagen, riktig god morgon. Scandinavian 9 Charlie Bravo, inbound Tura, flight level 4.
So the Dixat arrival is here again. We're going on to the ILS approach, Yankee.
Good morning. Identify flight level 410.
ILS Yankee 25 right, let's find it. There it is, ILS Yankee 25 right. Via Delta Foxtrot 426. The AGC, AGC for 7 left 25 right, so this is probably where I'd seen it. And then eventually ABC East. So that's our chart sorted out for Lido when I go into VR. The arrival into Frankfurt, the approach at Frankfurt, the taxi from Frankfurt, taxi into Frankfurt, and our final parking position at the Alpha stance.
Polana 17 November Golf, identified passing 1,600 feet, climb flight level 190.
Alright, so this is where I'm going to ask the audience a question. So, landing distance available to us is about 2,500 feet to this. meters, as we talked about. So we're gonna ask you, and you know the airport's very particular about noise abatement procedures. So would you? Sorry, sync FMS. Would you select
6706
flaps 3 or flaps 4? I'm erring towards flaps 4 based on the fact that it's a slightly steeper glide slope, and flaps 4 will allow me to keep the speeds a little bit more in control while having additional thrust to make it stable. Whereas flaps 3 is just more efficient. Let's see also in terms of stopping performance what flap. Then auto, it's cold and dry. Let's go for a wedge runway. Yeah, landing, it's going to be a manual landing. Yeah, be pilot, landing weight, okay. That's what we're going to add, nothing. Brake mode, let's see what all of them gives us. Reverses, yes, let's compute. Factored landing distance, 2084 for almost a full stop. That's with config 3 with the wedge runway and low brakes and reverses. I think config 3 is going to get the job done, but what if I'd set the airport has ice cold runway? No data found. Okay, so it really depends on the runway code. I don't think I'm going to float it, so I'm fairly confident that with configuration 3 on a good runway condition code 5, slightly wet, but yeah, because of the snow from earlier, I think I should be able to get away with it. Let's go ahead and set config 3 for the arrival. That gives you a V approach of 127. And up there, yeah, the A340 and 330 family don't require that. So here we're going to conduct a approach brief, but not really because it was already kind of conducted. I see Volanta says 8:44. The flight bar up there says 8:44 arrival, and this here is predicting us at 9:08. I think that doesn't necessarily take into account the discontinuity, maybe. So it's 9:08 here on the flight plan, but 8:40 could be a little bit closer because we're going to give ourselves a shortcut. We're going to assess the situation with the traffic and shortcut as necessary. There she is. Arrived from Seattle. A340-300. She features the same CFM56 engines. Not necessarily the same as on the 800 NG at 320. Obviously a different variant. Nevertheless, she's still a CFM5, CFM56 or whatever. I think it's CFM56. We'll have to confirm. But 4 of the little ones. And the housing is slightly different, of course. It's more elongated compared to a 737 or a 320. But there's no fooling us, it definitely is the same engine. Oh, ATC message.
Copenhagen, good morning, Red Nose 56.
System switch to advisory.
With tech on board requesting clearance to Barcelona, please.
Local.
Red Nose 56 Victor, good morning, Copenhagen Control, information.
122.8. And what we're going to do next is log out from Echo Kilo Delta Kilo. Connection status. And we can disconnect. I didn't know. Nice, we're disconnected. Let's go ahead and set Frankfurt here. Runway 25, right. 300 miles to go. And until we drop, it's going to be 26 minutes. 26 minutes gives me time to get another cup of tea. Also gives me enough time to brief once again because I'm going to be in VR. so I won't be able to see or read your comments while I'm in there. So from, I think we'll transition into VR at about flight level 250-ish, and then we'll take her all the way down to the arrival in VR. Of course, if traffic picks up, I think I'll stay on a pancake mode, just so we can monitor it. Oh, the latest weather is out as well. So latest weather from time 50, 2204, still a westerly, southwesterly wind. 3,300 in mist, few clouds at 400, overcast at 18, 101. Sorry, -1, -1, 99 or 8. It's tempo at 2,500 meters. So all of these are visibilities. We tend to look more at RVRs, and bigger airports like Frankfurt do have RVR. So the difference essentially is an RVR uses a laser measuring tool. So they're placed at equidistant points along the runway. The laser just shoots out, and it's more of a visual on how your eye can see on the runway. The METAR visibility is based on the tower or the meteorologist looking out to say, oh, I can see 3,300 with points in a known distance. So that's how that works. But the RVR is more angled along the runway. So you as a pilot will know when I get that is actually what I can see. Tends to be higher than the actual visibility because you kind of get to see through the mist, I suppose. So even though it says 2,500 meters tempo, you notice an RVR isn't published yet because that happens usually when we drop below 2,000. Nevertheless, I'm going to carry out an approach briefing. Feel free to pay attention if you like. If not, no stress. So threats and errors going into Frankfurt, cold weather operation corrections, we're going to do that. The airport itself can be quite complicated, but we're not getting ATC instructions and we're going to be taxiing ourselves, so there's going to be no taxi incursions. We're going to be fine on that front. Slightly steeper glide slope, 3.2 degrees, what we're planning for. And to compensate for that sort of a threat, we're going to use some additional drag maybe, or configure the aircraft a little bit earlier so that we're not chasing the speed or on idle thrust waiting for the speed to reduce for too long. Any other threats? No other threats. Great, let's move on. Altimeter setting in hectopascals, great. Maintain downwind track, okay, we'll talk about that shortly. Clearance with level and speed restrictions consists of a lateral. And so this is important for our American followers. So when you're cleared by the DIGSAT 1 Alpha arrival, you are not essentially cleared to descend. In America, it's quite strange because they will say cleared by the arrival and they expect you to descend on your own to make those arrival restrictions. Doesn't work that way in Europe. You need an explicit descent clearance to be able to leave your level. And to me, that seems to make a little bit more sense. So we'll start at DIGSAT. Requires us to be between level 340 and 270. Let me Delta Foxtrot 400 between 26 and 25. 404 between 230 and 200. 405 between 180 and 170, 417 between 160 and 150, and the roll is below 130. So for this initial part of the arrival, I think it's safe to use the calculated descent path. And then over here, just to round it off so we're not doing level off descents, we'll go on some form of vertical speed as we get down there. There's no speed restrictions in German airspace below 10,000 feet, so we're allowed to keep it fast, just like at the Autobahn. So even though we get to rollers at level 130, and the airport elevation is 363, it'll be 10,000 above the airfield. Sorry, actually no, I'm lying. It's only 300 feet. Sorry, yeah. We'll get next to Ospol. We're doing the DIGSAT 1 Alpha, which is the northern downwind, level 100. So there it would usually be, if you're American, you slow down to 250. But we're not going to slow down there. We're going to go full speed to Delta Foxtrot 403. And as we get to about Rolis and Ospol, we'll start listening out for traffic in and around Frankfurt. If it doesn't seem like there's anybody, we don't see anybody on TCAS, 403 will slow down to 240. As we cross the airfield, we'll go to up speed. And 409, 410. This goes all the way down to 416. And then you're supposed to maintain your runway heading, the track anyway, until we get the base turn. It's quite far out. Hopefully we're not going to be doing all of that. So the plan is around Delta Foxtrot 410 or 411 will already turn onto base and then final for the arrival into Frankfurt. No significant terrain, 4,300. That's this bit. That's a Taunus Mountains, I think. And Oh shit, it does say here. Max 250 knots below 10,000 RS ATC, but it's not applicable within airspace Charlie, which we will be in. Fantastic. ILS approach. So we're gonna follow this path-ish. So the arrival is gonna be actually somewhere here, and we're gonna do something like this. Yeah, so we're gonna be at least intercepting from, I think, 20 miles, and the reason being is I want to intercept before the intermediate fix, and then we'll have the final approach point at 13.7. We're not even going to discuss anything to the east because I don't think we'll get that far. Hopefully we don't get that far. Caution notes here, 5,000 is platform for the whole downwind portion of it. 5,000 at Mefto for the Mr. Bird, so I think we'll keep it 6 or 7 here, and then on the turn we'll go down to 5,000 in case it's on below us there at 5. Frequency is going to be 109.75. This is something important that we do need to check because there are 2 ILS frequencies coded for the runway, so let's just make sure we have the right one. Yep, it has it selected, so we're going to go ahead and say 109.75, the ILS frequency. And we should find that on the approach as identifier India Foxtrot Whiskey Romeo. If we don't see India Foxtrot Whiskey Romeo, I won't on the approach mode. We'll fly it on nav and we'll do sort of the missed approach. Get to F2 and figure it out. Maybe the scenery or maybe VATSIM doesn't actually have the 2 ILSs loaded, and we'll just shoot the approach with 3-degree glide path, or we just move on to runway 25 left. So this is 3.2 as we discussed. Then it's going to be 561. We've made that to 570. Here a little, and that's about 210 above the airfield, which is well below the 400 foot for the cloud ceiling. Or the ceiling is actually 1,800. 400 above the field is a few clouds, so we'll go through the clouds and we'll be able to see Frankfurt nice and clean. So that's all assuming that we can do a 4.5% mist gradient, which we can with our 4 inches. We were able to do that even on departure out of Seattle. RVR required is 550 meters. Today they are expecting up to 2,500 meters, or until 2.5. So it's well above Cat 1 minimum. Barrage lighting system, blah blah blah. At 680 feet, on heading 246, we'll turn right to Delta Foxtrot 490 at a max speed of 185. So that's the missed approach. In fact, I think I'll keep my flaps in until we're past Delta Foxtrot 491, and then we'll start accelerating 492 up to max 230. And then onto Mito, we'll hold at Mito at 5,000 feet. Max speed 250, but we'll do clean speed here. So we'll retract the flaps and we'll do whatever clean speed is, because all of these are max speeds. After landing, we're going to exit Papa 20 as planned. We'll use auto brakes low for this. We'll taxi on Papa 1, and I guess we'll go through this apron somehow onto November 17. And November, and we're going to park here on one of the alpha stands, which we will get shortly. Fuel plan, I believe the plan called for us to go to Munich. So if we hit minimum, where are you? If we get to the 6.4 tons, we'll bounce to Munich, right? So, but 6.4 is quite late at calling it. I think I just call it at 7 tons. At 7 tons, if we haven't managed to land in Frankfurt, if it's due to weather or traffic, we'll bounce to Munich. But in the meantime, let's just go ahead and take a look at what the weather says in Munich. Fantastic trade, 2 degrees, light drizzle, and it's no stress getting to Munich as well. Briefing completed. Any questions? Of course not. Thanks very much. And I'll leave you out here with some music, and then we can come back in for the arrival. So where are we now? Not too far from the landing. We are slightly, just a little bit north of Amsterdam. In fact, we don't need this VOR anymore. I'm curious to see how far away we are from Amsterdam. We'll tune to skip all VORs here, Papa Lima. About 94 miles from Amsterdam. Alright, inside views of the airplane or outside views of the airplane? All right, sunrise views it is. Oh, someone actually has an opinion. Outside views. All right, outside views it is. Do you have any specific outside view you'd like to see? Perhaps you'd like to see the wing, or maybe we can sit on the tail. Let's see, because those are quite nice views, aren't they? Yes. So tail cam view. Wonderful. Okay, so there's a little bit of a problem. Let me just bring the tail cam centered. There you go, tail cam view of the Airbus A340. I'm gonna make myself another cup of tea and we'll be back in time for the arrival. There was a bum view. Would you like to see the bum view? I remember you called the bum a target the last time, so I'm sure you'd enjoy the bum view. Let's see, he's at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is this the bum view you were talking about? I can put it out like this. Alright, so we're gonna leave the bum view like so. And I'll make a cup of tea and we'll be back in time for the arrival. 120 miles to go. Target acquired. Alright, we'll see you guys shortly.
Oh my gosh. Baby, let me. I did it again, so I'm gonna let go. Oh my, baby, let me love you down. There's so many ways to love ya. Baby, I can break you down. There's so many ways to love ya. Got me like, oh my God, I'm so in love. I found you finally. You make me wanna say, oh, 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 oh my God. You make me wanna say, oh, 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 oh. I fell in love with Shawty when I seen her on the dance floor. She was dancing sexy, pop, pop, popping, dropping low. Never ever has a lady hit me on the first sight. This was something special. This was just like dynamite. Honey got a booty like pow, pow, pow. Honey got some boobies like wow, oh wow. Girl, you know I'm loving your style. Checking you out. Oh, she got it all. Sexy from my head to toe. And I want it all and all and all. Baby, let me love you down. There's so many ways to love ya. Baby, I can break you down. There's so many ways to love ya. Got me like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love. I found you finally. You make me wanna say, oh, 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 oh my gosh. You make me wanna say, you make me wanna say, oh, 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 oh. Felt so hard for honey, out of all the girls up in the club. This one got me with just hop for one look, if I fell in love. This one's something special. This one just like dynamite. Out of sight and fell in love with honey like my, oh my. Honey looking wonderful, fly so fly. Honey like a supermodel, my, oh my. Baby, how you do that make a grown man cry? Oh, baby, you
Alright guys, welcome back to me. I'm here, I'm back. Thanks for waiting. I just want to make sure that you guys have a good view of what's going on. I think this is more accurate to what you should want to see, I guess. And this is going to be roughly the landing view, so let me just center the camera around what I'm going to be looking at. I think that's accurate. Alright, good. Alright folks, so we are... I think we're now in Germany. Oh, not quite yet. Let's get the constraints on. We're not really concerned about the airports anymore. And let's get our arrival started shortly. So what I can do is, I'd like to know if you'd like to see a little inset here on the arrival routing and on what's going on. So maybe something small here, I guess. I can make myself a little bit smaller to start with, and then we can put a little arrival inset here perhaps, so you can see what the routing looks like. So instead of having, and you can maybe follow with the arrival. Let's see if that's going to look nice on stream. We'll give her full screen views. And let's see if we can't put her down here and resize it a little bit, so you'll still be able to see the arrival, and we can get rid of the Lufthansa guy, put him up. Yeah, we'll put this guy up here. So, is that enough for you guys to be able to see the arrival as we getting onto it, so you can see what I'm looking at on the star as well? Or actually, I think that kind of gets with navigation display. So we'll figure that out for a bigger screen some other time. Let's bring the Lufthansa logo back. There we go. Alright, here's our descent point. Let's go ahead and select the altitude that we need to be above. So we need to be above 270, below 34. Let's go ahead and set 270 here. The Airbus doesn't descend on its own, we need to command her to, so Please commence a descent. Thrust descent. Sorry. Mach descent. What's the descent speed going to be? Hopefully nothing too slow. Ah, 301 knots. Not bad. It's not 320 knots, but 301 is not bad. As long as it starts with a 3. Alright, update ladies and gents. So it seems that according to vPilot, Langen is in fact available, and I should be contacting them shortly. But they are only available below 245, which is quite interesting to me. So let's see. Well, I guess that means we're just gonna have to switch to VR slightly early because I want to be able to make contact with them and all that in VR. Or would you prefer if I left today's flight in pancake mode? Please let me know. Makes no difference to me whatsoever. As you please. Alright, so I think we're gonna go into VR then. I have not flown the A340 on an arrival in VR for either A, a long time, or B, ever. So we'll see. Since Langen is online, there should be an ATIS now available for Frankfurt. If it is controlled. By the looks of it, no. Not controlled. I'm not quite sure the extent of the control, so maybe VATSIM coverage, vatsimradar.com.bg. Let's take a look. I think it's that VAT classes stuff? No. Yep, so only covers the area in and around Düsseldorf, so Frankfurt remains uncontrolled. Okay, we're getting into an area of what could potentially be icing conditions, but the good part about the Airbus series aircraft is they will tell you when they are in icing conditions. There's no stress. Beautiful. Oopsie. Nothing like some background music as we're doing our arrival. Here we need to be above 250, below 26. Let's go ahead and set 250 here. And you can descend, my friend. That ding 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 was her motor version because she went initially to DS. How far do I listen to music IRL? Depends on the terminal area. If we're going somewhere super busy, as soon as we enter the FIR, I turn it off. But if it's nice and quiet and everybody seems to know what they're doing, I'll probably take it a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and set level 200 here. And we'll put it back in descent mode anyway, which she is doing. So we need to be below 230 there and above 200. Okay, getting past 200, next above is 170. Set. Oopsie, let's keep it going to 150. Let's do it all the way up to 130. Get us down. Let's go all the way to 100 at Ospol, so we'll set that up. So it turns out we haven't needed to use the vertical speed after all. She's been doing a pretty good job with maintaining her restrictions and finding a good track through. Alright folks, at this point, I'm gonna jump into virtual reality. And what I'm gonna do just before I do that is we're gonna feel out for any traffic in and around Frankfurt. Now let's get some light in the room. Yeah, there we go. Why I need light in the room? Because my headset's tracked inside out, so it has a camera, so it needs some sort of contrast to be able to tell how it's translating. All right, folks, just give me a couple seconds. Now we'll head into VR just now. Alright folks, we're back. Whoa. A little bit dizzy there. We're back in VR. Going to Ospol. And she's going to start decelerating at Ospol. So what we're going to do is open the vertical speed. And the speed window here. And keep the speed up. Get these seatbelt signs on for our cabin crew a little bit earlier than 10,000. We'll check in now with Frankfurt.
Service Finland with 1 to the second floor, with Lufthansa, Valley, Mali,
So, as discussed, All-Star will go down to 7,000 feet here. We'll do 500 foot per minute, which I think is satisfactory to get us all the way there. Speed VS minus 500. Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 491 heavy, passing level 100. We're joining the northern downwind for ILS Yankee approach 25 right, Frankfurt traffic. I think I'm going to have to turn up the volume of the ATC a little bit. You know what would help would be a co-located ILS. Let's see if the aerodrome co-located VOR. Let's see if the aerodrome facility chart says Fred 1159. Looks like it's more or less right over the airfield.
Frankfurt traffic, schönen guten Morgen, die Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike at stand Alpha at correction at stand Victor 126, pushing back facing to the west.
Good, that's about 12 miles from the airport now, so that's
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 4999 Heavy, crossing 25 center, Might 14, taxiing then to Bravo 26.
I'm going to update the weather if I can. Let me know if you can hear the air traffic control. I mean the other traffic. So it's 210 at 4 minus 0 and 998. Speed limit exceeded. Yes, I know. That's part of the plan. But unfortunately, that made me.
Frankfurt traffic, Pan African 218. We are taxi via November to runway 18. Frankfurt.
Yeah, I think this is good enough. So let's go to open descent now and bring the speed back. To 200 and what's going to be the clean speed? 197. So let's go bring it back to 210 knots. Let's get the LS system activated here and there. And let's see if we can get the ILS 25 right Yankee. And I just need the identification to make sure we're crossing over to As discussed, we're trying to intercept here at Delta Foxtrot 480 because that's just before the intermediate phase.
From traffic to Indian 19 at the line, gap waiting on the West Center.
At the moment, looks like we're going to get to 5,000 just a bit before. Actually, that's not what I briefed I'd do. I said I'll stop at 7. Let's stop at 7. And we'll do the turn on to 5 as we're on base.
Wiener 9 Delta November Lufthansa 499.
Yes, we're currently holding because we did a pushback onto the area 3, but we would be now ready for taxi. What's your initial gate you want to taxi to?
Bravo 26, so we're holding here.
Yes, then 40 billion, 9 Delta November, we're taxiing to holding for runway 25 center, we're taxiway, and November 3 and Lima.
So far, I don't see any other traffic that's gonna.
Frankfurt traffic, Scandinavian 1987, taking off, runway to West Center, Maroon 7 Foxtrot.
I know we're flat and level, but at the moment the power hasn't come back on because we're still decelerating. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to start the turn soon. So I'm gonna go to up speed here. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can activate the approach phase. Confirm to activate approach phase, and I'll close the speed window, so that's going to hold it exactly at clean speed here.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike taxiing to holding point runway 25 center via November 3, Lima and Lima 6.
India Foxtrot Whiskey Romeo 109.75. Just want to reconfirm that that is in fact the one that we are going to use for our landing. Was Yankee 25 right?
India Foxtrot Whiskey India Foxtrot Whiskey Romeo at 109.75. I do see some snow on the ground, so we might need some anti-ice after landing. This looks ominous. Seatbelt signs on? Yeah, 10,000 feet, let's do the rest of it. Landing lights can go on as well. And let's sort her out with the first notch off. This might be slight icing conditions, so we can wait for the flaps.
Beeline 9 Delta November, what are your intentions?
What's the station calling?
This is Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike and Beeline 9 Delta November. Where are you taxiing?
We're taxiing to Frankfurt.
Okay, let's go direct to Delta Foxtrot 480. It's the right base.
Roger, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike.
That's it. Let's go direct. I'm surprised she says she doesn't want any anti-ice. I would have wanted anti-ice by now. Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 4901 Heavy joining right base, runway 25 right. Currently 20 miles out to Frankfurt traffic. Alright, 7,000 turning final. So I'm just going through this to make sure I'm not on anybody's, I'm not troubling anybody at the moment.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike joining Lima 6.
Alright, here's the localizer alive. Let's go in and get the approach mode armed. Cat 3 single.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike holding short off runway 25 center intersection Lima 6.
I'm going to take the speeds here. We're going to keep speed 180 knots until 10 miles. Be transition level. Altimeter was going to be 908, was it? Yep.
Frankfurt traffic after departing Beeline Airbus A320 lining up, runway 25 center and wait behind Frankfurt traffic.
So we've been flying for about 10 hours, so we're trying not to mess up this arrival. (998) on the ISFT. So we haven't done cold with altitude corrections because it's 0 degrees, so it's 0 and below that we need to correct, if I'm not mistaken. All star.
Lufthansa 431. We will join November 8, hold short of November and waiting for Lufthansa 456 to clear November 8.
Missed approach, 5,000 set. Cat 3 dual.
Beeline 9 Delta November reporting Airbus, running flight level 220 and hope the manpower departure.
Let's go ahead and record this arrival as well. Might be all right. You know.
Papa Traffic Control 9 to Papa landing up taking off landing on 8 Frankfurt.
Oh. Does it record even if I put it away?
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike departing runway 25 center, Maroon 3 Whiskey departure.
So we're losing the speed a little bit. Let's go ahead and set another notch of flaps 2. Hopefully that helps keep the speed in check without having to drop the gear. Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 4901 heavy, 9 miles, ILS Yankee 25 right, Frankfurt. Alright, that's about 10 miles. Can go ahead and set 160. Then we'll do 160 to 5.
B9 November, flying direct to Donau.
That's not nice with the speed gear down. So if you notice, we had a spike on the speed there. 2,500. I'm gonna get the additional drag from the gear to help keep the speed a little bit more in control, let's say. So we're through the speed for flaps 3. It's safe to go ahead and select our landing flaps now. Flaps 3 is set. Throw our lights on.
2,000.
I noticed the ILS doesn't have a DME, so we're using the Fred as a general reference. Landing.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 6 Papa Mike is now airborne, passing 2,200 feet.
I'm starting to think flaps full might have been a better idea, just so we could instead of get the angle of the nose a bit lower.
Traffic, once the Lufthansa company 340 is passed, Lufthansa 431 is continuing runway number 8 and Alpha 52.
Speed window back to managed. And now we'll wait for the runway to show up from the mist. I think that's the rest of Frankfurt Airport. I see 25 left and center. 25 right's not yet in view. Maybe a little bit of the poppies. Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 4901 heavy. Landing runway 25 right and 3 miles. Frankfurt traffic.
1,000.
So our gate is down here somewhere. And we're still at 1,000 feet, so it's a long way to go. I can see that there's snow on parts of the ground, so we're probably going to end up using the anti-ice. I believe that the poppy is showing us all white for the 3.2 glide slope, which wouldn't happen IRL because it should be accurate until 200 feet. But that's okay. That's kind of expected behavior. We're going to follow the glide slope for this bit. Poppy is only on the right side, so the runway is actually to the left of the poppy. And the landing surface is identified accurately.
Frankfurt traffic, Pan African 218, we are lining up runway 18 and taking off. I need you to Lima departure. Frankfurt.
Land.
100 above. Minimum.
Continue. Start to first.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Ooh. I felt that. Ooh. that hurt. After 10 hours and 15 minutes, that really hurt. We can make this high speed. Brakes off. Start a timer for engine out taxi in, which we will not do anyway because of the icing conditions. And engine anti-ice on. Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 4901 heavy, clear of runway 25 right, Frankfurt. Oh, why are you guys still on reverse? Sorry about that. And I think this is the way to the terminals. Flaps are going up. These guys can go on standby. Landing lights can go off. We'll use taxi. Turn off. Strobes can go off. Get a little bit more boost on these engines to get going uphill. We'll see what the AGC says.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa cargo 8324, taxiing to holding point, runway 25 center via Lima.
Slow her down. I think that DHL might be that Lufthansa cargo that is going to taxi. Yep. So I would recommend that we carry on Papa 1 and then kind of follow the Lufthansa cargo, see where he's going. Sounds like he knows which way to go for 25 center, so I'll follow him, and then I'll just crank a left turn when it's time for me to go to my gate. So I'm still on Papa 1. AGC out now. Papa 1, I think November 17. Okay, now let's hold on here. November 17 on to November, and then we'll take November 14 on to Lima, if nobody is on November, that is. Okay, I think I'm going to exit the ramp at the next right and then turn left onto November. I don't really see a lot of options for me, unfortunately. We are going to use the A gates, yes. And I think we'll go to A50 to A69. 69. A54 is good for me. Fraport will handle it. Here. And then left. Doesn't seem like anybody's coming up November, so I should be able to get away fairly quickly. Let's give it some thrust so I won't end up blocking anyone. Don't need the LS anymore.
Lufthansa A324 lining up runway 250.
It's a quite chill turn here, so I'm using only the rudders to make it. No brakes, no differential brakes, no differential thrust.
8324, takeoff runway 25 center, Maroon 2 Golf departure route.
Touch more speed.
Frankfurt traffic 992, short final 25 left.
Oh, it looks like Alpha 54 might be occupied.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa A324, I'm ping 2370.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 2363, final runway 2510.
Enter via November 8, it's clear left. Oh, he's still recording. Hold on, we need to stop recording. Okay, I can't seem to do it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, looks like our gate's occupied. Let's take Alpha 62 if we can.
Traffic to left, okay.
Okay, that might be occupied too. One, 2, 3, 4. What's the fourth stand? 69, 66, 62, 58. Ah, frick.
Lufthansa 4 Kilo pushing back, position 48 on November, facing west Frankfurt traffic.
Okay, let's just take the furthest one. Alpha 69 it is. Let's see if I can't take that one. 1, 2, 3, 66, Alpha 62. That's gonna be me then.
And Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 3 Echo November pushing back, position 40, area 6 facing west. So no other. That's the traffic from traffic at 922, taxi via Mike 8, route into 5 center.
Alright, Alpha 62, let's go ahead and start the APU. Here we go. This is the actual challenge. If you make a hard landing, forget about it. You're gonna do another one. If you don't stop in position and you go too far, you're getting pushed back. Everyone knows about it. It's embarrassing. I like that. Parking brake is set. APU is available.
Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 630. Stand Alpha 54, push and start. Pushback and start to waypoint 3. Frankfurt traffic.
So all the center pumps off
Frankfurt
here.
Tower, correction Frankfurt traffic, Lufthansa 2363 on final, runway 25 right, left, correction runway 25 center.
Back to 2000, APU bleed momentarily. And we can go ahead and get the ground up.
Frankfurt traffic, World Express 707, heavy pushing back out of stand Foxtrot 235 onto November North, facing west, Frankfurt traffic.
All doors disarmed. Chocks in position, brakes released.
Frankfurt traffic, runner 2, pushing back from stand Victor 111.
Electricals available, let's get the electrical on. APU bleed off, APU master switch off. Stop the time there, and we can run a stop here. Folks, that's 10 hours and 53 minutes block to block. Got some light snow falling. I'm just gonna get off VR for real quick.
All right, so what did we think about that whole fiasco there? Had I want to say it was a boof sort of landing. We're gonna go watch. That's done. Let's turn off the flight control replay. She's recorded 21 minutes, which we don't need. And let me bring you back into traffic. Yeah, I mean, I think it's time that I get a 39. A 5090 or something, because 3090 isn't cutting it anymore. I would get a 4090, but they're out of stock clearly. So, yeah, that is it. Let's take a look at the airplane. Let's get a little bit of snow accumulation. Let's take a look at the aircraft from outside. That's it, folks. This is the giant airplane that brought us in all the way from where do we go? Seattle. She looks good. She's arrived here back home, a snowy Frankfurt. Overall, I think the approach was okay. The landing, not so much. I think it was a bit. I ended up kind of floating right at the end and then just dropping. But we'll take a look at it just now. We'll log off here from VATSIM, and we'll restart the engines.
Taxiing to holding point on bay 18 via November.
We're off VATSIM now, and it's going to take a while. So let's start the master switch here for the APU. I really don't like how long it takes after you turn on the master switch to be able to start. It should just be poop poop, but you have to turn it on, wait a couple seconds, and I'm just there like push push push, because I can't tell if it's maybe my mouse clicking skills or if it's actually just hasn't quite worked out. So another question I want to ask was snowfall apparent on while we were doing VR, and I also wanted to know what you thought of the parking, because I'm quite proud of the parking. The parking worked out very nicely for me. Let's go ahead and we can take a look at how much brake energy we ended up taking. Yeah, a little bit warm on that side, but not bad. Everything is green after landing on that runway. That was with flaps 3 as well, and I don't think we went all the way down even. I think we took we ended up at a shorter position than we needed to be. APU is available, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the ground power, remove the air conditioning, reset the parking brakes, and remove the chocks. Get the APU bleed back on, pumps back on. Beacon. There's no passengers, but we'll get the bell set. We'll start the engines once again. They just need to be started and able to, be able to watch the. Oh, you know what? There is a state I can do. I can I can put it in ready to taxi state, I think. From the thing here, settings, ready for takeoff, confirm. Fantastic, all the engines are ready. Or, let me try it again. Ready for takeoff state, confirm. I'll leave the flaps up. So it turns out it's starting all the engines at once, which I think is unlikely. Ground spoilers on, yeah, we'll take that. Oh, I forgot to turn the predicted wind shear off after landing. My bad, ground stuff. Nice, so apparently we've managed to start all three engines at the same time, which is crazy given that the APU is actually off. Okay, interesting. Let's go check out the replay. Gosh, absolute pandemonium. So I was about 10 miles out when I started this, and you know what, let's go. I had all these lights on, that's correct. Let's go to the external view and we can watch. The gear wasn't quite out yet, so I'll put the gear back up. Because I remember I was in flaps 2 for quite a while and I dropped the gear quite a bit later. Just for speed control towards the end. Then the clouds did look quite ominous. You know what, I'm gonna just put myself a little bit more in the background so we can enjoy more of the screen. There we go. This might be around the 8 mile mark where I put flaps 2. Yep. It is. Oops, I was supposed to have stopped the flight on Lufthansa. Yeah. I think it's safe to say somewhere around here the gear went down. No, a little bit more, around 2000 something. I remember it saying 2500 just as the gear went down. Through the snowy Frankfurt suburbs. It's a shame, I really thought you'd see more of Commerzbank and all that stuff. Turns out there's literally almost no visibility. Nice chilly day. Quite like it. There's the Frankfurt CBD. I think it's just using photogrammetry. I had Frankfurt landmarks for FS 2020. I guess I might not have linked it for this flight. And around here is probably where I dropped the camera. I think it's safe. Because I remember seeing a Reno to the left when I dropped it. Somewhere. Ah, there's the Reno. And we'll go ahead along with the Kira, almost at flaps 3 as well, and we're completely ready for the arrival now. So, let me tell you, Volanta said that I landed with 420 foot per minute with 1.12 G on landing. I've not been using Volanta for a long time, so I can tell you that is so far as 1.09 on that one, and this is 1.07. So apparently this is my worst landing in the last 3 flights. Yeah. In terms of views at least. Yeah. And in terms of foot per minute, it was, I felt it like towards the end it was just a crash down. I think I might have ended up flaring a little bit. Maybe I didn't round off the 3.2 degree flight slope as well as I thought I would have. But, yeah. Oh, there's a Hilton. Alright, here we are. 1.2 G Boeing pilot, you're absolutely right. Boeing. In my defense, at least we didn't float. And I actually intended to do it like this because the runway surface and snowy conditions can be a little bit slippery or, you know, that kind of stuff. So I intended to get her down. Let's see. Alright, so that was the expected. 3 white, 1 red. And let's see how she touched down. Ah, a little bit of a float and ooh. Yeah. I'm glad it was just 1.2. Also seems that I left idle reverse on for a bit longer than I anticipated. I need to work on the bindings of the controls again. And there we go. Quite cool. Note to self. Figure out when to flare. Because that wasn't it. Well, we had fun. I certainly hope you did as well. And thank you for joining me yet again on what's been, I think, a pretty long stream today, hasn't it? It's been how many minutes? About 2 hours. Sure you didn't float? No, I didn't float. I just spent a little bit of additional time on ground effect. It's not really a float. Well, let's take a look at that replay once more. And we can analyze it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was textbook. No. Decent enough. Yeah, actually. All right. So obviously the flaps are still on its way down. On their way down. I remember there was a view here that you could see kind of the gear. I think this one. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. E. Oof. Okay. Maybe that's a bit more of a violent way of seeing things, but it was safe, as you can see, Boomy Girl. It was a pretty good, pretty decent touchdown. And all that's happening to me right now is Volanta just keeps logging this, you know. So 425 foot per minute and 1.2 Gs. Oh, sorry, I'm lying. It's 1.12 Gs. Which is not bad. It's still 1.1, you know, it didn't get to the 1.2. Just looked a little bit more, I'm going to say it's because of the wings, you know, they've got 4 engines on them, so they're a little bit heavier or something. So we're not going to put that up to pilot error because obviously it wasn't. And that was the butt view you liked, Boomy Girl. Wonderful. So taxiing back now to the gate at Frankfurt. Don't think I'm going to stream again today. Maybe not. Maybe later in the evening. But it was super awesome to have all the viewers on here today. We'll do another flight maybe later. We'll see what events up. Something that needs to be seen. Awesome. Thanks for joining in on the stream. And you can see the engine's just taking up a lot of moisture. That is where we turn on the anti-ice. You gotta let me know if that's actually correct procedure, because I don't know when we turn on the anti-ice, because the aircraft didn't say that ice was detected, so I didn't turn on the engine or the wing anti-ice. But we're on the ground and it's no icing conditions, so I just turned it on. Is that correct, Boomy Girl? You're the Airbus captain. You should be tell. I'll leave you here with a little bit of wing anti-ice doesn't work on ground. What? Why not? So what if you're de-icing so you de-ice with type 1 fluid, right? And you have some light snow, because we can then taxi out in the Boeing with de-icing fluid, and it gives you a small protection, like only about 11 or 12 minutes. But if we're using only type 1, we turn on the engine anti-ice and the wing anti-ice to prevent any additional freezing. So this is quite interesting. I didn't know that the wing anti-ice didn't work on an Airbus. And I think here, let's get some music in. And I'll let you enjoy the taxi into Frankfurt. Or, better yet, we'll give you one more look at the touchdown from this position. Thanks for joining the stream, guys. We'll see you later.